Hey, what's up, Kat? How's it going? Got Mizuki after I swore to skip her. Not sure if I want to ask. Should I ask? What do you think? Should I even bother asking? Oh boy. Okay, there we go. But in my defense, I got to like her after the story quest. Okay, no comment. No comment. Sorry, where is this? Okay. There. By the way, how are the voices? Are the voices back? I mean, English voices, I mean. Are the English voices back?
まあまあなりません。この喋り方、将軍だよな。おや、やっと来たな。おい、あってそ。報酬。否定しないのか。なるほど。あなたが選んだだ。まだよく。前にき、じゃから人のそ。賛成。このようなき。わらわは名の知れ。あなたはに以前の気も。それにな。確か。先ほどの。なりません。人で飛ぶ。労力によ。
I'm kind of disappointed. I like Yai's English voice more than I do her Japanese voice. She's got so much more of a like a sly, foxy voice in English than she does in Japanese. In Japanese, she sounds like her Japanese voice just sounds like a very like mommy kind of voice to her. I have severe gambling addiction. Nope. But it is for Raiden, Miko, Mizuki, and Sayu. Oh, really? Okay. My guess is that those voice actresses / actors were probably already under a different studio. Or maybe you just had enough time to record. Had enough time to record? But what does that mean? Hey, what's up, Spartan? You excited for the thick cowgirl, RJ? No. I mean, I'm like I said before. I'm more of a proportions kind of guy. Because theoretically, sorry, what? What the heck is theoretically? Do you mean theoretically? Like T? Theoretically. Oh, okay, that's supposed to be a T, right? We switched to studios already? Yeah, but then like it's so Hoyo can just easily switch studios, but the VAs can't. Right? Like they can't, like they have contracts. They have contracts and they've already signed them and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, it's contract stuff. RJ, I quiet the pickle right now. Quiet the pickle. Do you mean you quite like the pickle? You guys are typing in code, and my brain is not very good at decoding code. Also, apparently, it's just a mobile Bennett. Mobile Bennett. I assume that has something to do with like that they're able to move around and not just circle impact. I certainly hope she's as good as Bennett, though. We need another Bennett. We already have a second Xingqiu and a third one, and even more, right? But we don't have another Bennett just yet. In Quiet the Pickle. Quiet the Pickle? What the heck is that? Is that a game? Stuck in a problem. Speaking of stuck in a problem, I finally pulled the trigger on... Where's the other one? Oh, here. You. Okay, I finally pulled the trigger on SnowRunner. And it's not as fun as I thought it would be, but it's also not boring. It gives me a similar feeling to what Genshin does to me, like this really relaxing like gaming session. It's like a way to wind down. And I don't know what it is about realistic graphics and stuff. I don't know why. Like my eyes just don't like it. Like I don't know. Like I get a headache whenever I play games that have super realistic graphics. I like GTA 5. Okay, sort of realistic graphics, but like the lighting is different. It seems a lot more like vivid, and the coloring seems a lot more like cartoony. But when it comes to these like realistic graphics, like what was that game that I played a while back? Like it was one of those like single player campaign kind of games, like story mode kind of games where we're like just there's just a story, and once you play through the story, the game's done, right? There's no multiplayer, there's no online mode, whatever. I don't remember what it was. It was a game from like somewhere around the early 2010s. I don't remember what it was, but it didn't have the most high quality graphics, especially for like 2020 standard. But it had a lot more of that like realistic, like dark, gloomy kind of look. And so does SnowRunner. And both of them gave me a headache the first 10 minutes I played. I have played it for the last couple of SnowRunner rather for the last couple of days, and my eyes seem to be starting to get used to them, but it's still like not like super comfy for me. I don't know why. It's just I don't know. I want to get C2 Zalonin, but I also want to get C2 Xianyun, but I can only get one. Oh, for me, that's an easy choice. C2 Zalonin, any day of the week for me. If you don't have Zalonin signature weapon yet, by the way, I recommend getting her signature weapon before C2. Quite the pickle. Okay, I get it now. Okay, I get it now. Thank you, Spartan. I finally got it. Man, you got that. You actually got that. Yeah, quite the pickle. I'm in quite the pickle. All right, it finally made sense to me. Problem is, should I pull meta or the character I like? The life of an F2P is really hard. I think the fact that you already have Xianyun, right? C0 Xianyun. That means if yes, that means you already have the character you like. And I guess I understand making the character you like stronger means you will feel better using that character, which means you are likely to use them more often. And okay, sure, I get it. That's, sounds like a decision, man. It sounds like a very personal decision because it has something to do with just something that you like, not because it's good, but it's just something that you like. Sounds like a very personal decision. Most pickles are quiet though, so he isn't wrong. I mean, that is true though. Sorry, what? Most? So not all, somehow. One thing I really liked about Fontaine, one of the many things I really liked about Fontaine, was because Fontaine is like elevated and it's like closer to the sky, or I don't know whatever it is. Whenever you change the time, if you're in certain parts of Fontaine, when you change the time, the camera doesn't have to pan up before the clock starts turning. It just starts turning. Pickle Rick? Sorry, what the heck? What is... Oh man, I can't... I feel like I'm missing out on something important here. Oh no, man. Okay. It just had to be something from Rick and Morty. Now I feel embarrassed. Now I feel embarrassed. I have not watched a single episode of Rick and Morty, even though I hear so many great things about it. P2's Lona is now, I need to farm for a Hydro Goblet for Nibilet. Hydro Goblet for Nibilet. Hydro Goblet for Nibilet isn't as necessary as you think. Sorry, that was bad. I don't even watch Rick and Morty. Wow, really? You really seem the type to be, the type to be someone who watched Rick and Morty, man. Actually, that is kind of surprising to me. Not that crazy script for Ina. Maybe you can get away with HP Goblet for Nibilet. That's what I heard. So yeah, that is because Furina gives such a big damage percent buff that the getting a percent goblet, like a damage percent goblet on Nibilet, becomes less of a priority. It gives you less damage than it would have if you didn't have Furina. I can't stand gross out humor. Is that why you haven't watched Rick and Morty? With like 45% HP from C2, Zelona Hydro might be better. Yeah, but then Imagine this. You have C2 Zilonen, which gives HP percent, and C2 Furina, which also increases your team's HP. And you have C1 or C2 or even C3 Neuvillette with his signature weapon. Right? Like, would that not be better? What the heck? Oh, we dropped our... What's that thing called? Is that called Dongo? These are R0 and Neuvillette. Yeah, I know. I'm just pointing out that... You missed me on your second shot. And because of that, I didn't get like a perfect counter thing. Okay, because of this hill, he is missing. Okay, that was my bad. I dodged. Sadly, I had to skip him for Mawika. Yeah, that was that was what I did. Like, I did the opposite of what you did. I don't regret it because now my Neuvillette team is just like, man, it's bonkers how much of a difference C1 and his signature made, like compared to my C0 R0 before. It's nuts. Did you see my speedrun of the event? Speedrun? Did I see? Where? Where can I see it? I had to skip him because I didn't have any good DPS other than him. I posted it on Discord. Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, by the way, what's your name on Discord? Technically, you don't need two on-field damage dealers on your any Genshin account doesn't need two damage dealers, two on-field damage dealers. Right? Because like, think about this. If you have Nahida, even without Nahida, honestly, it's fine. But it would just be better with Nahida. So Nahida, Kuki, Xingqiu, either Xingqiu or any other like off-field Hydra applier. Then you have a perfectly fine second team. Like perfectly endgame capable second team without needing another on-field damage dealer. Right? And even if you didn't have an on-field damage dealer like Neuvillette, you would still be able to come up with two endgame capable teams with zero on-field damage dealers. Right? As long as you have Hyper Bloom and you have National. Right? Two perfectly endgame capable teams that don't need a single on-field damage dealer. I got reminded that I should build a lot of characters. I think you should start building way more characters, Kat. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know what the state of your current, like, top teams are on your account. If you feel like they're good enough, or if you feel like they're gonna take a really long time to upgrade from where they are now, I think it might be time to start investing horizontally, right? Especially because, as long as you don't absolutely hate the Imaginarium Theater, right? If you're able to if you can tolerate the Imaginarium Theater, just for the rewards, then yeah, like ever since the Imaginarium Theater came out, it has been a good time to horizontally invest. Good enough, but I want to build a lot of characters. You know, there is an advantage to vertically investing, but there's also an advantage to horizontally investing. Yeah, like vertically investing, obviously, like initially, vertically investing is good because it takes you further up in Spiral Abyss. Further up in Spiral Abyss equals more free Primo Gems every month, as well as having less difficulty in dealing with combat content in the game in general, like while going through your quests, doing overworld exploration and stuff. Right? There's less difficulty. It's less annoying. Takes less time. But at some point, it gets to the point where your returns start to diminish because like the amount of time it takes for you to get upgrade once you hit that certain point takes longer and longer. Whereas like if you spent that same amount of time on building other characters, you would have gotten more in return. Now DPS is like Ireland, Uvillet, Kinish, Mawika. Good supports as well. And now Mizuki. I don't really... honestly, I don't know what to consider Mizuki. Because she's an on-fielder, right? And if you're not on-fielding her, then she's not doing anything on your team. So, she's an on-field damage dealer? I guess... Because... Okay, so somebody like Raiden Shogun. So you can use her as a dedicated on-field damage dealer, right? As a hyper carry, where she's dealing the majority of the damage on your team. But there are also plenty of other teams where you can just use her as an on-field damage dealer, but the rest of your team is also doing a huge chunk of the team's damage. So, and you know, we already have like a common terminology for that, which we refer to that as a driver. But with Mizuki, you're not doing anything. You press E and then you just walk around. You're not normal attacking, so you're not proccing any off-field abilities that require normal attacks. You're not doing charged attacks, you're not doing plunge attacks, you just press E and walk around. So would that still be considered as a driver? Because you're quote-unquote driving the rational team with Raiden Shogun because you're doing normal attacks and or charged attacks with Raiden Shogun. So you're enabling Xingqiu to throw out his rain swords. But with Yumemizuki Mizuki, you're not doing anything. Not worth farming artifacts. After 10 weeks, you already reached 95% of your character's potential. Reaching that extra 5% will require another 10 weeks. More like 10 years. VV Mizuki. Mizuki barely does damage, and the most damage comes from Swirl. At least with the 600% buff, like Swirl buff, on floor 12, you won't feel reality, like, right? Like, at least they're like allowing you to live out your dream of feeling good about pulling for Mizuki in 5.4 by giving her a 600% swirl buff on floor 12. With a 600% extra swirl damage, I was thinking DPS Kazuha will work. Spoiler, didn't work. No, because so when you say DPS Kazuha, what I think is a Kazuha that's built to do personal damage, right? You know, with crit damage, crit rate, and since you're building him with crit rate, crit damage, that means you won't have as much EM as you do usually, which means your swirls are going to deal less damage. So the whatever number you are multiplying against the 600% is becoming smaller. I think the term would be an on-field animal applier. That sounds appropriate, but it just feels bad. The fact that you have to be on field for it.
あなたたちも安心するかと。エネルギー。エネルギー？玉ねぎ好き？ごめん。
That's why it didn't work. Yeah, yeah, right. I think if you can somehow... No, it still wouldn't work because, like, remember, your swirls are getting buffed, and swirls don't care about crit rate, crit damage. So you're just better off not sacrificing any stats, any main stats and substats to crit rate and crit damage. You're just better off going full EM. Maybe Fab Sword as well, so that you can burst every rotation. Then use off-field DPS to apply elements she can swirl. Yeah, some like taser teams. I think taser teams might be who benefit the most from Yumemizuki because so when you vape, when you do vape or melt or quicken, right? What happens is there's really only one swirlable element that is on an enemy at any given time, especially in single target. Right, so you're really only swirling one thing, and you're only relying on your direct swirl damage. Whereas with Taser doesn't have its own like unique like elemental status or whatever it's called. When you put Hydro and Electro on an enemy, one or the other they don't disappear, they just stay on the enemy. So you have both Electro and Hydro on the enemy, and if you're able to swirl both of them at the same time, you get what is referred to as a what was it called? Oh man, I can never remember this word. So I can never remember this word. There was this like one simple word that I can just use to easily describe what I'm talking about, but because I can't remember that word, I'm gonna have to explain it. So if you swirl, so enemies have Electro and Hydro on them, right? If you're able to swirl both of them at the same time, then what happens is you get another hit of Hydro. When you swirl Hydro, it doesn't deal damage; it just spreads the element, right? But because you're also swirling Electro, you're taking the Hydro from the enemy and the Electro from the enemy, and then putting them back together onto the same enemy and dealing more electro charge damage with Yumemizuki's EM and or levels multipliers taken into account. Double swirl. I believe so. The term double swirl. People mostly use that to refer to like when you swirl two elements at the same time. And usually it's not in order to do what I just said. It's usually just so you can swirl both elements at the same time. You know, something like in national team, for example. So national team is a vape team, right? Which means you won't have two elements on an enemy at the same time. Because ideally, you want to have Hydro on an enemy all the time so that you can vape your Pyro hits because Xiangling does more damage. And because of that, it makes it harder to swirl both Pyro and Hydro because you do benefit from swirling both of them because your Xingqiu will deal more damage. Your Xingqiu will also get, say, a damage percent buff from, say, Kazuha or an EM share from Sucrose or whatever, right? And same with your Pyro character. So that's generally what I understand to be what people refer to as a double swirl. But technically, the Electro and Hydro being swirled at the same time, it does, like two elements being swirled, double. And then if they're being swirled, so double swirl. So technically, yeah. You put Electro and Dendro, Electro and Dendro, and Hydro. You get their, you get their baby Hyper Bloom. That was out of the blue, but yes.
閉店後も愛車戦闘に入れる特別券を2枚あげる。あ、やっと戻ってきたな。待たせてご。お前は一緒に行かない。わかった。私のことならどうかお気遣いなく。
There are 3 parents who's paying for child support.
気を抜く祭りに私が来ているというだけで皆ご存知でしょ。この体はまださほど衰えては。そんな空想を話しても思う通り。
Why is it 3? So weird. I only thought 2 can do an elemental reaction. So Bunny, from what I remember, you're a new-ish player. I remember, I think it was yesterday. I asked you whether you were a new player or not, and I don't know if you responded. If you did, then I must have missed that message. So Hyper Bloom is what happens when you hit a Bloom Seed with Electro. So you don't actually hit the enemy with those 3 elements at the same time. So first, what you do is you hit an enemy with Hydro. Oh, do I need to be the next day? I don't think it needs to be the next day. At least I hope it doesn't have to be. Okay, so you hit an enemy with Hydro and Dendro, and then you get a Bloom Seed. Right, it comes out of the enemy. And then what you do is you hit that seed with Electro. And that's why not just any Electro character is able to do Hyper Bloom. So only certain Electro characters can do it. Certain Electro characters that have big, like, wide-hitting Electro abilities. Somebody like Kuki Shinobu Skill, Kuki Shinobu Burst, Raiden Skill. What else? Clorind, like her normal attacks and her E, while you're in her E form, have a somewhat wide-reaching like Electro hits. I think Dory as well. I'm not sure. Not sure about Dory. If Dendro Chison Hydro. Chison Hydro is Electro. Is it Hydro or Electro paying child support? It's less of having 3 parents and more like, so 2 parents, Hydro and Dendro, making a seed, a Bloom Seed. That's the baby. And then Electro coming in and making this baby hyperactive, aka Hyper Bloom. So the Bloom, the baby, became hyperactive, hence Hyper Bloom. So the Electro, that kid doesn't actually have any genes from Electro. Electro just has influence over the Bloom. I don't like A's speaking voice. I really like her combat voice. It seems so I don't know. It seems so powerful and like I can hear the authority in it. Like, but I don't like her speaking voice. It seems like she's trying so hard to be cute. Electro is the weird uncle? Exactly. That's exactly what Electro is. Electro is the weird uncle. Why is an uncle interrupting the seed making process with a hydra and dendro? It's the weird uncle. It's the weird jobless, like unemployed, broke uncle that lives on your sofa. That's what Electro is. It's not interrupting anything. While you're a baby, your broke, jobless uncle with no future just has a lot of influence on you because you see him a lot. Because he just lives on your sofa, eating your food. So that's why Raiden just sits around in an empty, unemployed place. Hey, you know what? What this? Okay, I understand. I'm completely ignoring this storyline that some developers / writers worked hard on for this event quest, but I at least have to appreciate that they seem to. It's clear that they've put in extra effort into improving their thing, right? Like I can see like the camera work. Their camera work is so much better nowadays, both in Art Conquest in Art Conquest, big world quests, and even event quests like these. Oh. You. Oh no, not that one. And you. Inazuma and Liwa always get better events than everyone else. Is that a thing? I get Liwa, but why Inazuma though? I think that might be because Inazuma, Liwa, based on China, right? Inazuma based on Japan. They're just, I just think I think that's mostly because of Asian culture and like culture in Asian countries just have so much lore to pull from, right? And it always has this sort of like wholesome / honorable feeling to it. Whereas, so let's go over to Fontaine, right? Okay, based on France. Right, based on France. So France is in Europe, and what does Europe have to offer in lore? So, okay, there's Greek mythology and Norse mythology, but what the heck do you get from Greek mythology? You get Zeus, who's, well, I don't like, you know what he's like. Yo-Yo also hates the French. Really? Is that a thing? Why can't I find a skip button? I actually have a short about skip buttons. A short and actually a dedicated video on skip buttons in Genshin from like years ago, Bunny. That's funny you mentioned that. I think they just know Asia better than Europe or Africa. It's possible too. It's possible as well. Everyone hates the French, RJ? What? Is that what is that a thing? I mean, France gave us America. France gave us Canada. right? I mean, not directly, but didn't the French help the Europeans? No, didn't France help the people who were British, but decided Britain is awful. We hate you. We don't want you to taking our taxes, even though we are British, but we live in a different continent now. So screw you, I guess. So yeah, they helped give us America. Now that I think about it, I don't know if that's such a good thing. Don't call me French, RJ. That's just Quebec and sorry, I don't know much about Canada, okay? All I know is that some parts of Canada used to be French colonies. That's all I know. Let's not pretend Chinese myth is innocent. That's true. The Chinese and Japanese mythology do have their own weird things, you know, like there's this guy from I'm not very interested in like mythology or whatever at all, right? But ever since really only interested in it because I've found this guy on YouTube called the Mythology Guy. He makes kind of funny shorts about mythology stuff. There, he has this series. He has this series called "Where Do Baby Gods Come From?" It's the stupidest thing ever. It's just him. It's literally like that's most of his shorts. It's him and nobody else. It's just him talking to himself, like him pretending to be a baby, like at school, like a kid at school, asking like their school teacher, "Where do baby gods come from?" And then the teacher is just like bored, look like, which by the way played by himself as well. It looks like they're bored out of their minds, reading from a book, "Where baby gods come from," and explaining the weird, like, man, I cannot think of a stronger word than weird to describe how weird these gods' origins are. Like I don't remember a single one of them, but there's like one that was born from a rock because a different god pissed on a rock, like something like that. It's something like it's crazy. And man, I remember recently he also made a short talking about this weird creature in Japanese lore. It's a Japanese lore. It's in Japanese lore. It's a weird rock creature that has the arms and legs. Well, arms, you know, like 4 legs. And I think it also had a tail. I'm not sure. It had the 4 legs of a tiger, but everything about it was just a rock. Just imagine a rock with the limbs, like with 4 tiger limbs, and that's it. And apparently, it doesn't do anything. It just plays harmless pranks on people. And there's also this one where like, oh man, what was it? So it's like a thing with monks. And it happens to monks that like, so monks are I guess they're vegan, right? Like they're supposed to be vegetarians, and if they go against that in secret, they eat chicken. Their heads they get like a rooster head. Their heads become a rooster head, and they still have their human bodies. After not critting for the 3rd time with 80% crit rate on my week, I said, screw it. Now I'm over critting. You know, something that I didn't have in mind for the longest time is the fact that you have to consume Night Soul points on Mawika before you get the 40 crit rate. So because we generally don't build Mawika with a normal crit ratio, without taking into account the 4-piece of this, sometimes people forget that they have to consume Night Soul point. The character equipping the after the equipping character, which is in this case Mawika, consumes 1 Night Soul point, which means that if you don't press E on Mawika and do your like rotation of the other characters, and you just, let's say you start your rotation on your other characters, and then you just swap to Mawika when it's time to burst, that means you didn't consume a single Night Soul point. which means you're not getting the 40 crit rate. So you have to consume a Night Soul point, at least one Night Soul point, which means you have to press E on Mawika at some point somewhere in the rotation. Oops. Do I need to get into the Japanese toilet demons? I remember something about that, but I don't remember the details anymore. I just remember that it was funny when I heard about it. Hey, what's up, Luap? How's it going, man? Maybe that's why I wasn't critting. Looks like I'm just dumb then. Yeah, because I remember a few times where I wasn't really paying attention. I remember a few times trying out certain teams. Haha. I ran certain teams. I don't remember what teams those were anymore. But I just wanted... Oh, man, that was a mistake. I remember I just wanted my rotations to go faster for some reason. I don't remember why. For a reason. I wanted my rotations to go faster. So I skipped pressing E on Mawika before starting my rotation. I just went straight into rotating through my other characters and then bursting. And then I noticed I couldn't help but get this feeling that my Mawika wasn't doing as much damage because there's so much going on. I couldn't really pay attention to how much damage she was actually doing. So I just felt like it was going slower than my original way of rotating through those certain teams, which is to start off by pressing Mawika E first. So I never really put in the effort to investigate as to why I felt that way about those teams and those certain rotations. But I get the feeling that that's probably why. But with no said Lolly, it's so hard getting cryo applied with the Mawika skill on. That's true. It is very true. Yes. That is one of the reasons why, despite Setlali being really limited in terms of how many characters she actually supports really well, she's still considered to be a really, really good support because there's no one really in the entire game that does what she does and does it as well as she does. I'm pretty sure I pressed E there, but I guess I didn't, so yeah. Oh, come on, you interrupted him. I pressed E 3 times and I just was late every single time. I can't see anything. When Raiden attacks, I just can't see anything. Man, why is my Raiden Shogun not like this one? I want my Raiden Shogun to be like this one. Okay. That was so many attacks. And I blocked none of them. Okay, I'm gonna let you deal with that. Is Kaya the next best choice? I wouldn't know because I got C0 R1 sit lolly. I thought about that. It's possible, especially if you have C6 Kaya. But the difficulty there is because Kaya applies like his cryo application, like you have to be hugging enemies. You have to be hugging enemies. You have to be right next to them. And I think even then, even with C6 Kaya, I feel like Kaya might not apply enough cryo. As much cryo as Sitlali does. Cowgirl almost here. She's less of a cowgirl. Well, she's a cow and she's a girl. But she's not a cowgirl. Chaska is more of a cowgirl than she is. But she is a cow and she is a girl. I can't believe how much people complain about everything in Genshin. Like, I understand it's not perfect. But man, like, somehow people just find something to complain about every time. You want to ride in to just... Sorry, what's RP? Walking all the time? I mean, not that, but the way she attacks, you know? But it does seem really, like, menacing. And it seems really menacing, the way that she was just walking the whole time. Oh, role-playing. Role-play walking all the time. I don't feel so good about the cowgirl. I will pull the cat girl. Cat girl. Oh, Zelonin. Charlotte is better than Kaya. His application is trash. I think Charlotte does apply cryo faster, but because it's such a short duration, you realistically you're only melting Mawika's burst, like the initial hit, and then maybe 1 or 2 donuts, and that's it. I heard a leak. It says the Sarita is going to be cryo. Oh my god, that's the leak. That's the leak of leaks right there. Man, better keep quiet with that leak. Oyo's coming after your butt after spreading that leak. The Sarita cryo? Man. A little sis that plays Roblox told me that cowgirl is a Roblox character drip. What? You mean when... Does that mean like there's actually a Roblox character that looks like that? Or is she just confused? Realistically, I tried for an hour and could get only 1 melt on Kaya. I don't have C6 Kaya, so I can't test it out. But I did, at some point, somewhere, in the last, like, 2 or 3 months, I think, I bought some Kaya constellations from the shop. I don't think I did it on all my accounts. I think I only did it on one. But I am willing to spend some star glitter to get Kaya constellations, just to get my Kaya to C6. Just to see if it works. In terms of the clothing bandages, Also the tacos. Sorry, what tacos? Hang on. I haven't actually looked at the... What's her name again? Varessa? I haven't actually looked at her... shoot, what's it called? Drip marketing. Oh, there it is, okay. Tacos. Oh, she's literally holding a taco. That's okay. I like how you spelled clothing. I assume that's clothing, Luap, but you spelled it with an R, so it sounds so Japanese. It sounds like I should say it as clothing. In terms of the clothing, bandages, and socks. Her clothing is very little. Soksu. That's okay, that was good. That's correct. It's supposed to be soksu. Her soksu and clothing. Do you have any ideas how to stop myself from worrying my grades will go down this last month after graduation? Don't worry about it. Just do your best and don't worry about it. Just accept what you get. I mean, like, don't be like, okay, these are my grades. These are my grades and okay, whatever. Don't be like that. Like, at least accept what you got after trying hard. Right? Like, do your best. And if you get something that isn't satisfactory to you, then work even harder next time. Replace L with R to sound Japanese. oh my god. Okay, wait. No. You just reminded me, man. I've been meaning to ask you guys about this. So not all of you not all of you are from India, but I know some of you are from India. So I saw this short. It wasn't on YouTube. It was on Facebook. I believe they're called Reels on Facebook. And so it was clearly like content created for entertainment. It wasn't just some stupid guy saying stupid stuff on the internet. And it was like 2D animated, like stickmen. Well, not very much stickmen, but like not very, just 2D animated. Somebody took the time to like 2D animate those character models. Very simple character models, just a circle for a head and very simple character model. And voiced over by someone. And it was the character was reading from a small piece of paper. On the small piece of paper said what was it? Hang on. Let me try to remember this. Okay, here. So on the small piece of paper said, replace T with a D equals Indian. So, okay, whichever, whoever you guys is from India, let me know what your thoughts are on that. That actually motivates me. Third exam, I got higher grades. After our second exam, it's like going down to up. Hey, that's great. That's great, man. As long as you, okay, I'm happy for you that that motivates you. Oops. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Right, but as long as you like, once you get to the point where you notice you're not improving anymore, even after like trying multiple times, like to work even harder than the last time, as long as you don't keep pushing yourself extra hard and burning yourself out, right? Just don't go too hard on it. Go, yeah, go like work hard, but just don't push yourself to where it's clearly above your capabilities anymore. Because you will burn yourself out, and once you burn yourself out, you're gonna start to want to not do anything. You're just gonna want to like eat junk food, eat donuts, whatever, and not do anything with your life anymore once you burn yourself out. To be honest, I'm more of a Muslim area in India, so I cannot speak for the Indians. Oh, I see. RJ, if you have trouble doing this event, just ask me. No, I already did it, man. Thanks, though. Appreciate it. Appreciate the offer. So the animated short said T equals D. Was reading from a piece of paper, and he was like, "What? Really?" And then it was, the way it was animated was so funny because like the way he did it was like he was clearly like trying it out. He was like he was trying to say, he went like don't 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 tell me what to do. And I just cannot do justice. I cannot do justice to the short. It was just so much funnier. Like if you actually see it and hear the guy like do it himself. Do you also, or any one of you here, know how to memorize multiple words? I need suggestions for the last exams next 2 weeks. Memorize very different depending on the situation. If you have to memorize words that you actually understand, you know, like memorizing like a paragraph or something, then the best thing you could do is like try to understand it first. Like do your best to understand it as well as you can. And then that'll help you remember it. But if it's just straight up memorizing words, you know, words that don't really have a meaning, like names or something, then I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just like good luck. I guess the best thing you could do is like look for things in the names, like some kind of pattern. Some kind of pattern that helps you remember them. Helps you remember what the next one is going to be, the next one, the next one. I guess, okay, I'm an idiot. I don't need to go there anymore. Like 5 or 4 more than that. Those definitions, verbs, added verbs. Sorry, what? 5 or 4? Oh wait, 5 or 4 or more than that. Those definitions, verb, added verbs. I'm sorry, man. I don't get it. So what did I need to do here again? Okay, yeah, that's right. Hmm. Wait, I don't remember this anymore. Oh, right. Okay. Oh my god, I forgot. I could remember that it was something else I needed to do there. But it just slipped my mind. Okay. There we go. Okay, gotta get that thing. Man, this is gonna be a long wait. Ah! Almost forgot. There. Almost fell off. Oops. Didn't mean to try again. I don't know if you'll understand it in Filipino. It's like panghalip, pangitnig, and that stuff. I'm in my 30s, dude, so I don't know how much help I can be. It's been 30. No, 30. I'm stupid. Okay. It's been like 20 years since I've learned that stuff from school. 'Cause I don't know how much help I can be. I guess the best thing you could do is like just do your best to learn. Okay, I don't if Tagalog isn't your first language, best thing you could do is just learn those words that are in the definition, that are in the definitions. Right? Just do your best to remember those words, and then once you remember those words, because they're definitions, then at least they're sentences, which means you can, as long as you understand them and remember the words, then you're good. What? That didn't hit? I don't hear dogs barking. I hear stupid people is what I hear. People who don't understand that not everyone likes the sound of barking dogs day in and day out. Something I think most people won't notice with this event is the HP bar of that thing. Like the cat thing that shoots out these flying balls. So we have yet to see an enemy in Genshin that has multiple HP bars like this. But enemies having multiple HP bars have been a thing in video games for a really long time already. Right, like one of the first games that I saw having an enemy that has like so many HP bars was this game called Grand Chase. Because my cousin played it a lot, so I saw him play it a lot. Yeah, I saw my cousin play it a lot. But I love dogs? No, nothing about nothing against the dogs. Dogs just, they're animals, right? They just follow their instincts. It's not about some animal being smart enough to think, oh, this human might not like it being noisy, so I'm gonna quiet down. It's an animal. It's not smart enough to think about that stuff. Those who are smart enough to think about that stuff are the ones who are responsible for that. Like, look at this enemy, right? It has... So, it had the purple HP bar, and the purple HP bar is going away. And it has another layer of HP bars to it, which is that red one. And so, in the game, we already have stuff like shields, right? Like, especially, like, the closest example that I could think of is the abyssal shields. Because it feels... Yes, it is a shield, but it also feels like... It also feels like a secondary HP bar. Right, no, sorry. It feels like an initial HP bar, and its actual HP bar is just a secondary HP bar. So we gotta get through the initial HP bar, which is the abyssal shield. What that didn't hit? Okay. Abyssal shield before we can actually do damage to the next HP bar. And I get the feeling that we might see this kind of like concept in Genshin sooner or later. We might get enemies that have multiple HP bars. Even if I find them noisy, they're very cute. Well, Bunny, here's the thing. You're a student, right? So you don't have stuff to deal with that affects your income. Well, you don't have an income. I don't know, right? Like, I could be wrong. You might be a working student. I don't know, right? You don't have to deal with an income that literally decides whether you get to eat or you get to have a place to live in next month, right? There's nothing about that in your life just yet. And for me, noise does affect that. Especially back then, when I used to work for a company. And it would ultimately decide, it could change whether or not I earn the same amount next month as I did last month. And that could decide whether I have something to eat next month, or whether I'll still have a place to sleep next month, whether I'll still have electricity or water next month. So it might not bother you much now. And depending on where your life leads you, it may or may not in the future. Having multiple HP bars is kind of lazy by the creators. I don't know about lazy, because like what about it is lazy? Like, because even if you just give it one HP bar, I think it's the same overall, because like they're still going to do the same amount of math to decide on like how quickly should players be able to kill this enemy or not. Right? It's still going to have the same amount of total HP, but it's just going to be spread out across multiple HP bars. So what it does is like, so psychologically, it makes it seem exciting to the player, because if you are, say, a new player, then clearly you're not going to deal as much damage as an older player, right? So it's going to feel really demotivating if, like, when you start fighting this enemy, you don't see that HP bar move at all, because you just deal so little damage. But if they spread it across multiple HP bars, then it's gonna feel more rewarding, because that HP bar is actually moving despite, you know, you actually doing really low damage. Because you can actually see it moving, because the HP bars are going to be, it's going to be less HP within a single HP bar. It's a psychological thing. I'm an OG player of that game. I'm proudly say I'm an OG player of that game. You might get along with my cousin, although, especially back then, Although I don't know if you would get along with my cousin, because like my cousin, actually now that I think about it, yeah, my cousin's pretty competitive. So he might just, you know, despite you guys being taking that game really seriously, he might just think of you as like a rival. You know, somebody he has to prove to himself that he is better than. Oh. Oh man. Oh man, I always miss this part. What? That missed? Okay. Okay, that one was my bad. I missed that one too. Ah. If I remember correctly, I even went in. I even did PvP with the devs. Wow, dude, you were serious. You took that game real serious, man. It was kind of sad because most of the things I studied for my English exam, I've already forgotten. Well, that's the problem with education though. Is like when you learn something, like you put in so much effort into learning it, right? But if you don't actually need it very soon, right after studying it, that means you're not going to be using it at all, which makes it way more likely that you'll just forget it. Shift, yeah. But yeah, the idle lobby in that game was so wild. It's just a dating spot for some. What? My cousin was really. My cousin took that game really seriously. Like every time he found someone, he played with someone that had like a hint of skill. He was always, he would always say that like, oh, this guy thinks he's good, and like he spends another hour. Like he says he's gotta go, but then like he plays one more time, and he finds someone who who has a hint of skill with them, and then like despite saying that he had to go an hour ago, would still be playing now because he has to prove to himself and that other dude that he's just better. Would be awesome to play with him at that time. Yeah, at that time though, he was in high school. Oh, well, Oops. Oh, GPC is really a blessing because I can grind while my classmates or friends can't. They have to go to a computer shop. That was, man. That was, oh, dude. Wait, how old is that game anyway? Oh, well, that was a mistake. How old is that game anyway? Was it, like, was that game out during the CRT days? Oh, man. Okay, I messed that one up. Okay. Oh, I'm getting impatient. The problem with this game is when you get impatient. Like, when you're just good enough at this game, like this mini game, that you are actually able to do it. The next problem is, like, if you have the patience for it. Because now I'm getting impatient. So I'm messing up a lot. 22 years old now, I think. 22. Oh wow. Well, not exactly in the CRT days. That was about the time when flat screen LCD screens, or flat screen LCDs were becoming a normal thing, a common occurrence, and they were cheap enough that most computer shops were using them at the time. But yeah, I totally get you. Having a computer and internet. Oh man, having a computer and internet at home was like a game changer for a lot of gamers. Oh man, no. Uh oh. Uh oh. Uh oh. Like I remember, so when my friends first started playing Ragnarok online, a bunch of them like were really high level, except this one guy who actually had rich parents. So they actually were one of the very few people who had a computer and internet at home at the time. It was the time when like having 500 kilobits a second of internet speed was like the, yeah, you were the cool kid. You were the rich kid in class if you had that. Right? Like 500 kilobits, not even, that's half a megabyte a second. And yeah, everyone has CRT monitors. Well, I panicked. Okay. Yeah, except him. Like all my friends were at level 40, level 50. Like but he level 40, level 50, like first job on their first jobs. Except my friend, that one friend, was at like level, like he was almost max, like level 90, level 100, I think. So his second job. But that was like way back then when Ragnarok Online still only had up to it still only went up to the second job, no third jobs just yet. And the max level was 120, I think. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh. Oh, well. Getting the tofu doesn't give you extra rewards? Really? So, sorry, what's tofu? Is it this yellow thing? That's the tofu, right? Okay, that was my bad. This is the tofu, right? Grand Chase still gets updates on Steam up till now. Really? So wait, so you said on Steam. So do they still have their own thing? So from what I remember of my cousin playing it, they seem to have their own launcher. Like, do they still have their own game? Their own game launcher? Or do they just have is Grand Chase only on Steam now? Oh, come on. Hearing that the game was shutting down in 2015 was really hard. I don't know who's holding the game on Steam now, but they keep saying it's just a cash grab now. Really? Oh man, that sucks. That sounds exactly like what happened with Rakion, this other game that you always hear me talk about on stream. Uh-oh. Because so they have a Steam version now, but their non-Steam version is still up, like in their own launcher. So like I don't know, like they have two versions of the game up and running now. Although I haven't logged in like 2 or 3 years, so I don't actually know if their non-Steam version is still up now. Oh man, oh what? I didn't know that it reset like that. I thought it would just bounce back, going back to the right. And like I don't know about their Steam version, like how much of a cash grab it is, but I know that they're like the OG version, like on their own launcher, is very much a cash grab now. There's barely any players logged in, and like every single month is a new limited time only event with limited time only rewards. As long as you spend a couple of $100. It's not super expensive though, so it's not as bad as like I did. It's not as bad as like say Genshin, where like even if after spending thousands and thousands of dollars, you still don't feel like you're like way OP. But at least like Genshin's thing, like they don't have severe power creep. In Rakion, there was like so. I remember talking about this on stream once, where like I took a really long break from the last time I took it really seriously, which was somewhere around 20. Oh, daily server reset. Okay, 14, I think, 2014. And then I took a really long break. Next time I logged in was somewhere around 2018, 2019. I was logging in just to see what was going on with the game. And I immediately went into a PvP room. And I started to do PvP with other people. And I noticed, like, it was like, usually, this guy would have been dead by now. And I was like, I was so confused by that. And I noticed, why does it feel like I'm taking way more damage than I remember how much damage I'm supposed to take? from taking certain hits. And then like I looked in the stat page and I realized the max stat cap was raised in the 4 or 5 years that I took a break. And on top of that, there were a bunch more new enemy types. No, not enemy types, like summons that didn't used to exist, and they were way OP. And like I found out that they were limited time event only stuff that you could only get as long as you spent money on certain events within the last 4 years, and that there was no other way to buy them. Even with real money. It was awful what happened to it. From time to time, I always check the games I played on Steam, on how many players there are. I did play the Steam version of Rakion though. I played it for like two hours. I just went into a PvP room. Unfortunately, you have to make a new account. Like you couldn't just carry over your old account onto the Steam version. And I didn't like that. I wasn't happy about that. That sucked. But I just played like in basic mode where like nobody had, like none of your stats matter. And I had a good time. It was still laggy, but it wasn't as laggy as like the OG version. At least it was a little more playable. It was still pretty laggy though, but it was a little more playable than the OG version. The OG version wasn't laggy as long as you were playing with someone who had the same internet service provider as you. Although that doesn't matter as much nowadays in a lot of games. I'm guessing like game development and new kinds of online server like infrastructure are different now than they were before. But I remember those times when if like here in the Philippines at least, I don't know about in other countries, but in the Philippines, if your internet service provider was PLDT, you could not play any sort of PvP competitive game with anyone who had a different service provider at the time. And that would have been a nightmare if we didn't have the duopoly that we had back then. So by duopoly, I'm talking about like there were literally only 2 internet service providers in the, well, not 2. There were a couple of others, but like the other ones were almost completely irrelevant because like their coverage areas were so limited. So it was really only PLDT and Globe at the time. Globe wasn't even like a very good competitor at the time even. It was PLDT, Globe, and Bayantel. And if your service provider was PLDT, you could not play any sort of competitive game, online competitive game with somebody whose internet service provider was Bayantel or Globe or some other anything that wasn't PLDT. Man, what a man. History of gaming, huh? History of gaming. I wonder if people in other countries had to experience that, where like went through that, you know, like not being able to play online competitive games with other people just because they were on a different service provider. PLDT on top. I still think very highly of PLDT today, to where like if PLDT is an option in a given area, like if I were to move and PLDT was an option for an ISP in a given area, wherever I move, I will still they are still my first choice when it comes to internet service providers. I've just never had a bad experience with them so far. Whereas I've had a bad experience with Globe before, because I remember my at my cousin's house they had Globe internet in somewhere in Santa Rosa, Manila, well, Santa Rosa Laguna. Sorry, Santa Rosa Laguna, and like it didn't happen very often, but their internet just went down randomly, seemingly for no reason. No typhoons, no nothing. It would just go down like once every few months, and it would be out for like several hours at a time. And I've never experienced something like that with PLDT. Not most of those countries already have fast internet at that time. That's true. That's true. Like in the mid 2000s, most people who had internet at home, which by the way was not most people, not most people who had a computer at home did not have home internet. The few people that did have home internet in the mid 2000s, I would say a good majority of them only had like 500 kilobits a second. And some had 1 megabit a second, and like the 1 or 2 rich people, like rich beyond reason, people who had 5 megabits, 5 Mbps of internet speed in the mid 2000s. Okay, will I need to condense resin before tomorrow? No, I won't need to. Alright, dailies on the other accounts. They just need faster computers. Wait, who? RJ, if I shrink you to the size of a quarter and I put you in a blender, how will you escape? You have 60 seconds until the blender starts. Sounds like somebody watches Veritasium videos. I haven't watched it yet. I've seen it on my subscriber subscription feed, but I haven't had the time to watch it just yet. Hi, sweetheart. Hey, Mom. How you doing? Hey, guys. Your mom's in chat. Your mom came to see me. Why do you watch Veritasium? It's one of the Veritasium is one of the very few like science channels who are actually science channels and not some like AI generated garbage. I used to be subscribed to this channel. I don't remember the name anymore. That I really thought was like an actual like legit like science channel until I at one time, like I eventually after watching a few of their videos, I noticed that like they were just spouting like the same garbage, like same information that they've said for they already said in the first like 2 minutes of the video, and they were just saying it over and over again in different ways, like over like the next 10 minutes watching like a 12-minute video from that channel. I noticed that like the first 2 minutes of content was the actual information that they wanted to present, that was presented in the thumbnail and title of the video, and then for the next after the first 2 or 3 minutes would just be saying the same thing over and over again in different ways. It also had these like outlandish, like crazy looking thumbnails. But at the time, these like AI, like algorithm made YouTube channels weren't as common as they are now. Nowadays, like, everyone knows about them. But back then, they weren't as common as they are now. Oh, that's why. I'm not able to one-cycle them anymore. Veritasium is great though. Yes, Veritasium is very good, mother. So him and Kyle. So I remember. So, and I thought I was going crazy. Like when I first thought about the idea that like maybe these science channels aren't actually AI generated, right? Because this was the time again. Like I said, this was like a couple of years ago. This was the time when AI generated content on YouTube being a common occurrence was not widely known just yet. Until that one day when I saw Kyle Hill make a video on it, and like he pointed out a few channels to use it as an example, who were uploading like 2 or 3 videos every single day, consistently for the last couple of years, since when he made that video. And that was the point when I realized, oh, I guess AI generated content on YouTube, like, you know, YouTube channels existing, you know, with like that had like who's like where all their videos were just completely AI generated and like nobody's running the channel, right? Like it's just somebody just set up the infrastructure to get it running and then like just left it to do its thing. That was the point when I accepted that, okay, I guess this is the world we live in now. Your dad. Honey, what are you doing here? Man, doesn't it suck, right? Like, cause like I'm honestly happy that somehow YouTube isn't imploding, despite having all this AI generated garbage content on the platform. Like it's not just like falling apart overnight because of how big a platform YouTube's already created. Because like YouTube really does give opportunity for a lot of people, right? It's created like a whole industry. And if the YouTube ship were to sink because of all this AI generated garbage, that would be terrible. I think it would be like a pretty big loss for the world. I hate AI generated content. It's just and it's so annoying too because like they make such clickable thumbnails. Because like back then it was like way different back then, right? Because like there wasn't as much what's the word I'm looking for? Large language models and whatever these like AI tools that are like readily available to most people nowadays are. We didn't have like they weren't as common back then as they are now, so they were actually quite a lot of work to get working. But nowadays, like people just train their AIs, their algorithms on like other people's work, right? And like, okay, how do you get an AI to create a YouTube thumbnail consistently every time, a clickable YouTube thumbnail every time? Of course, you train it on other people's successful YouTube channels' thumbnails, and sometimes it's a good thing, but most of the time, it's on these like clickbaity, basically lies of a thumbnail that are on YouTube. Like YouTubers who just make thumbnails that have nothing to do with what's in the actual content itself. Which means these AIs that are being trained on that garbage is also going to create more garbage. I sure hope YouTube doesn't sink like Facebook. Facebook hasn't sunk, man. And it's not, nor is it sinking. It's just there. It's still floating. And it's still wildly profitable. It's just, they were in a lot of heat. They were under a lot of heat for the last couple of years. For the last decade, I guess. So they are keeping quiet. Yeah, they're keeping quiet. They're trying to go under the radar. And that's what you do. That's what you do as a public company. If you're in a lot of heat, you do your best to put those fires out, and then you stay off of the government's radar. You stay off of media in general. You stay off the news. Because every time something happens, like let's say if you're still under a lot of heat and you're all of a sudden you're on the news for whatever reason, whether it's related to that heat or not, people are gonna remember that, oh, Facebook is this, like this did this and that, they did this, they did that. So they're laying low. They're laying low. The new MrBeast thumbnails are so trash. You know, I've never really ever been a fan of MrBeast. Like, by the time that I'd even heard of MrBeast, like he was already like way big. It was like within the last. I might have heard of his name in passing, like sometime around like 10 years ago, maybe. But I really only found out about how big a YouTuber he is. Only within the last 3 years, I think. And I watched one video. It was that the first MrBeast video I ever watched was that video where like he like it was something about like blind people in somewhere in Africa. 1,000 blind people somewhere in Africa, but they weren't actually blind. Like they weren't like completely blind. But most of them were going blind or like partially blind. And whether or not his acts of philanthropy are legitimate or not, if they're real, then that's great. I'm happy for him that, you know, he is like whatever his sources of income are, they're working out for him, and he's using them for good overall. If not, then hey, just another capitalist, another white capitalist dude. You know, what's new, right? But I just don't like how clickable the thumbnails are compared to like how much value they actually give you. Like the video actually gives you. Like most of his videos nowadays they're like, they just come up with like the craziest idea, something that'll look really good on a thumbnail or a YouTube video title, and they try to make a video out of that. And I don't actually learn anything. Like in that video, I didn't actually learn anything. I didn't learn anything. It was like, it wasn't even like, now that I think back to it, it wasn't even entertaining. it was watchable, is what it was. It was watchable. And when I say watchable, I don't mean like that the content was good. It wasn't terrible, but it was like the way it was made was it was just made in such a way, it was edited in such a way where uh there will never be like a period long enough in the video where you start getting bored and you just click away. It's it's not even like content made anymore. It's like content engineered in a way that keeps your attention on it. It didn't I didn't learn anything from it, so it wasn't informational. It wasn't entertaining. It just wasn't boring. I like those old videos, but I have not touched the newer ones. Last one I watched was the guy with number 43, in shorts, and like don't even get me started on like his like what's it called, like Hunger Games, or sorry, not Hunger Games. What is it called? The Asian thing. What was that game? It comes from a Netflix TV show. Like from show from Korea. I don't remember the name. I don't know the name, but whatever it was. Squid Game. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, his Squid Game thing. That was his Squid Game thing. Like some of his other videos where like there was also this video. Um, it was something like it was something about like um he gets like this guy was gonna be given a Lamborghini or some kind of supercar. He was given a certain amount of money, and he had to use that money to protect his car from whatever they were throwing at it, like which was like dropping a container on it or something. I don't know. I don't remember much of it. I just remember it being mentioned in someone else's video. And like they were gonna shoot at the Lamborghini, and like this guy had to spend the money that Mr. Beast gave him to protect this car, so that he like whatever would be left of the car after like all the stuff that they did to it, he would get. And there was also this other one where this guy was gonna live in a supermarket, like a Mr. Beast supermarket, and he would get like a some money every single day he was there alone. He would live there. He would like use the food. Like he would live off of the food that was there, the water that was there. It was something like that, and it doesn't even seem like YouTube content to me. It seems more like so. This I don't know which channel this was on, but I remember seeing this show from way back then when I was in high school, on AXN channel AXN. This show called Wipeout. I don't know if you guys know what it is, but it seems a lot closer to this TV show called Wipeout, where like they would build some elaborate like giant like obstacle course, and like contestants would like try to like compete against each other to win some kind of prize at the end. More like a sort of reality show. Not really like reality TV like the Kardashians, whatever garbage that is. Um yeah, something like that. It seems a lot more like that. And I don't mind it. I mean, that's his thing. That's his thing. But what I hate is like how people treat him. Like they treat him as like they see him as like this person, this infallible person who does nothing, like who does nothing but good in the world, and is like the nicest and smart, and like everything he says they just think is correct all the time immediately. And then after so like that whistleblower, like I don't remember his channel name anymore, right? Mr. Beast whistleblower, like well blows the whistle on like stuff, background stuff that the stuff that he mentioned. They're immediately like, oh, Mr. Beast, like not this, not that. He wasn't the thing that we thought he was. But then like, I mean, like, if you if y'all people just didn't blindly, like make an opinion of someone, like just because they do things a certain way. If y'all just never turned your brains off, you wouldn't even think that highly of someone. Therefore, you wouldn't have had to dramatize it as much, like his quote unquote fall, or like someone whistleblowing on all the bad things that they're doing. No one is infallible. Everyone has skeletons in the closet. Sounds like the starting of a cult. That's exactly what people call, like, not even just MrBeast, but like these like followers, these fans of all these internet celebrities, internet personalities today. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. Like, how do these people earn enough money that they can actually like give? How are these people smart enough to earn enough money that they can actually give away this money to some random person on the internet that they never even get to interact with? Right? While there are way more smart people out there who are barely scraping by in life. Why does it remind me of Hoyo? I don't know. Is it just me? No, it does. It's not necessarily Hoyo. Yeah, there is certainly something very similar happening with Genshin games, with Hoyo games, and think at the very least with Hoyo games, it's not people that are like pretending to be something they're not, and like just to get people to believe in them. It's it's at least like 2D. No, they're 3D. 3D characters and like artwork, anime characters. We know they're fictional people, right? Unfortunately, they really are just people that are dumb enough to, I don't know, like to fan hard enough to to be a hardcore enough fan to treat this character who they know is not real, this fictional character who they know is fictional, as if they're a real person. Like, I remember there was this whole like drama about like um um I guess this drama is still going on now, where like if you insult someone's waifu slash husbando, then they will like harass you, like, oh well, you're hurting their feelings, and like, it's a fictional character, and they're like, I know it's a fictional character, but still you shouldn't say that about someone. And then you're like, what? Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. I was someone. I think it was yours, Lap. I don't remember whose it was. It was someone's comment on one of my recent vods. I responded to it with, what was it about? Oh no, actually, wait, what? Oh no. It wasn't a comment. It wasn't a comment. It was in one of my recent streams where I talked about. I talked about it. It happened very quickly too. It only happened for like, it was only like a 30-second yap. I talked about how stupidity isn't what make people dangerous. What make people dangerous is when when a stupid person thinks they're right. Especially, it makes them even more dangerous if other people believe them. Because when other people believe them, they're gonna think even more that they are even more correct, and they're gonna keep doing it, and they're gonna feel way more confident about anything, about more of the stuff that they say. And being more confident about that stuff is going to make it so that they are more likely to say stuff that's even more wrong than before, but people still believe in them anyway. And the more they do that, the odds of them saying something dangerous and wrong and getting someone stupid enough to believe that it's actually right, and they do it and they put their life in danger, the odds of that happening get higher and higher. And that is Yeah, stupidity itself is not dangerous. It's when a stupid person thinks they're right and people believe them is what makes it dangerous. And nowadays, with the internet, with the way the internet works, and basically this society that we have formed around the internet, it gets even it's even more dangerous because it's so much easier for a stupid person to think that thinks they're right to just say their thoughts, and it's so much easier now for that stupid person that think they're right, that is saying their thoughts on the internet, to find someone who's stupid enough to believe them. Stream ending, yeah. I gotta get ready for work. I got work in about an hour from now, and I'd rather not be like rushing. It's so tiring, rushing and rushing. Just like yesterday. Yeah. That is certainly, yeah, that is truly what makes it that is truly what makes the internet dangerous nowadays. Well, there's many other things as well. There's like hacking and identity theft and whatever, but that is one of them. And this one isn't even like this one isn't, you don't even need to be hiding anything. Like, you don't have to be sneaky about it. You don't have to be like super intelligent about it. Right? Like a hacker, you need to be really smart to be an actual hacker. To steal someone's identity, you actually have to know what you're doing to do stuff like that. You have to know certain people to do stuff like that. But just being stupid and having people believe you, you just gotta be stupid and be confident about it. And have a camera. This is exactly how the movie Idiocracy starts. This is exactly how the movie Idiocracy starts. Is dumb people, they don't doubt themselves. They just think that everything they think is right. And like really smart people are always doubting themselves. Every time they find an answer to a question that they had, they get even more questions. And they finally find answers to those questions. They have even more questions. And they just are always doubting themselves. Clearly, he's ended the stream, but he's still yapping. Just end the stream, RJ. Let him cook Ali. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Thanks. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. Yeah, wow. Okay, you know what? I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. That is, yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly, unfortunately, how it works. And with how quickly the information spreads on the internet, it becomes dangerous. Because like without the internet, without media, without TVs, without this technology, your stupidity and your confidence in your stupidity will really only spread to the people that you have physical access to. Right? Like, what is that? Like the three people, the one or two people that actually believe you down a town square, or like the one neighbor that you're friends with who was actually stupid enough to believe everything you say. Right? But nowadays, it's like, it's everyone. It's like millions to tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of people on the internet. It's a quote of William Shakespeare. Oh, I see. No wonder you heard it before. Yeah. It's a pretty common, like, not the exact quote itself, but like the thought behind it. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna yap on any longer. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging on through the last minutes where I wasn't even, like, I was staring at a map for like however many minutes that was and just yapping. I appreciate you guys hanging on. Anyway, so for those of you who need help building your characters' accounts or making a decision in which banners to pull for, feel free to join our Discord server. Links are in the description of all my videos, VODs, and streams, and in the pinned message in YouTube chat. If you want my personal opinion, you can ping me over there. My name is Elvis Einstein. Of course, you can ask what other people's opinions do. Thank you guys so much for coming by, hanging out, and being awesome people. Have a good day, good afternoon, good evening, and take care, everybody. Bye, everyone. Take care. Don't be stupid. Don't be jerks as well. You don't have to be the smartest people out there. You just have to keep your brains on. That's all you got to do. All right, bye.